Hi everyone, this is Artforge Academy and I'm Hector Moran. I'm a digital artist originally from Mexico. I've been in and around the graphics and digital art industry since around the early 2000s. I worked in video game and outsourcing studios for about 7 years. And then around 2012, I went full-time freelance. I did a bunch of projects for big and small clients across that time. Later in 2021, I started my own digital art studio. It's basically my own miniatures company. This video here is about art as a career versus art as a passion. I hope you find it useful or interesting, and let's dig right in. So how do you explain passion? Passions are strong preferences, likings, or interests in activities, objects, or ideas. Importantly, passions usually have a strong emotional component. If you're interested in something but don't feel strongly about it, whether that's good or bad, then you're probably not passionate about it. What is a career? A career is a person's progression through a series of occupations, typically involving learning, work, and other life experiences. It's more than just a job. It's a long-term journey of opportunities for growth, advancement, and the achievement of personal and professional goals. Now, art, I think, often starts as a passion, and you see stuff, your first cartoon, anime, or a game that really grabs you. You spend time with it, you become obsessed, you start digging in, you get curious about more. Are there more comics about this character? Are there more mangas by this author? As a kid, when you're young, you don't think about it too much. You just enjoy art. You enjoy that cartoon, that comic, manga, video game, movie, whatever it is. You sort of fall in love with it. Whatever aspect of art that you're first exposed to, it makes an impression. In cases, it sort of chooses you. You have very little choice other than, at the very least, try it. You pick up that pencil, you pick up that piece of Play-Doh, and you start playing with it. You start seeing what you can do with it. Now, when art is chosen as a path, big or small, at some point you just jump in. When you're little, you don't know better and you don't even think about it much. You don't know what a career is. You just doodle, you play with clay, plasticine, whatever it is. You play with the medium that you find and you enjoy it. Especially as a kid, you're not afraid, you're not embarrassed. You're less likely to be dampened by expectations. If you jump in a bit later, it could be by modding a game, tinkering with tech, or maybe you meet a friend that introduces you to miniatures and you want to try painting one. You choose it as a hobby, as a start. Passion, naturally nurtured, is magnetism. You are drawn to it. When you're passionate about something, you keep coming back to it. You become a bit obsessed, or very obsessed. It becomes a device that takes you to amazing places in your head, or at the very least, it takes you away from places where you would rather not be. You become that kid that keeps doodling in their notebooks. You become that kid in your class, the weird one or the cool one that knows how to draw stuff. It might even feel good to be perceived as being good at something. If you nurture the pursuit, you become curious about others that have followed this path, artists and styles that speak to you. So you may want to, or perhaps you should try to learn more. And you look up information about these people. You try to read about them if you find a place to learn about them. You watch those making of features in a DVD, Blu-ray, or just online, and you start learning about the people behind these. Now, when it comes to study, education, and degrees on the career side, as you reach a certain age, you got to think about the future. So you got to find out what you can do with this whole art thing. You find out what careers are even available, where to study them, what's the best school, can you afford that school? Is that school worth the trouble and the price? Nowadays, you got online education, courses, YouTube, online communities. The options are so many. In a way, they're too many, but you gotta research and find out what might be worth trying. On the career side, paying dues and your early work years. Once you've made it through your studies, be that a full fancy art school degree or just a few online courses that you might have taken to learn tools, workflows, basics, you may eventually find your way into the job market or some version of professional art. That takes shapes in many forms these days, from artist alleys in your town to online commissions you landed by posting your work on socials. In cases where you're after a studio job and you eventually reach that. It's not all roses, it's stressful. You learn that you know very little and you're humbled by how much there is still left to learn about everything. Then you also understand that you're very likely going to be underpaid, underappreciated, in cases even mistreated. And while obviously you shouldn't accept terrible rates or terrible conditions, you're still at the lower end of the ladder, and you got to work your way up, and you'll have to be resilient and understand that there are dues to be paid within reason, and you got to work your way up. It's a hard life, but it's not that hard either. So as you're working your way up from the bottom of the professional world, you'll learn that this stuff is hard. The art world is competitive, demanding, competition is fierce. This is where some people might fall off and decide that they enjoy art more as a hobby. And you would rather not be underpaid or underappreciated. At some point, as you pursue your passion, career in art, you'll have to really look at what kind of artist you want to be, what kind of artist you can be. In my case, most other jobs just look terrible to me, and you couldn't pay me enough to be an accountant or an office worker. No disrespect to anyone working those jobs, or some other type of job where I might have to deal with numbers all day or other things. So for me, it was worth it, and it still is. Art as a passion and as a career is tough, but it's what you might end up doing for 6 to 12 hours a day. For me, that's basically better than all other jobs. Doing something else for a living would be, for me at least, much harder than doing this. So I take it, words and all. Now, on the career side, at some point, you will have to learn about negotiation and self-preservation or protecting yourself. So just because you're passionate about your job or career, that doesn't mean that bosses, executives, clients, or superiors get to abuse or mistreat you. It's part of life in general that at some point growing up, you have to learn negotiation and self-preservation. It's unfortunate when people make it to adulthood and just don't know enough about negotiating. If you didn't learn that from your parents, teachers, you have to learn how to create a win-win situation for you and for your clients in a freelance situation, for example. Win-win for you and your bosses in a studio, win-win for you and the guy at the farmer's market selling apples. Haggling is still pretty common in developing nations. So, and even as a child, I learned a lot just from watching my mom haggle with the fruit vendor. When it comes to the professional modern world, we have great tools now, like Glassdoor type sites. We used to Google up the average rates or salaries in a given part of the industry. Now you can just ask Grok or ChatGPT and other tools along those lines. So use these tools and make yourself useful so that you have a decent amount of leverage on your clients, bosses, or superiors, because people rarely get paid what they're worth. They're mostly paid what they negotiate, as it's been said. On the side of passion, you also gotta just live life, travel, recharge, reload. As you make your way through your life and your career, life will sort of happen to you, especially when you're young. You'll live where your parents take you. You'll study at the school that accepts you or that your family can afford. You'll take the first job that seems best at the time. But if you're working your way up, you'll have the ability to take more control. If things are going well, you'll be able to travel, take holidays. In some cases, the job might even take you to countries and places you never expected. And that's pretty great. Pursue that too. Pursue new experiences, new perspectives, take holidays that broaden your horizons, because those will feed back into your artistic life. The different experiences of where we come from geographically, ethnically, economically, etc. All of them form your voice as an artist and as a creative. Don't live your life just working in a room or cubicle. Get out there and live an interesting life, as interesting as you can make it, because that's a huge part of what will also make you an interesting artist or creative. You gotta take it seriously. It's a way of life. As there are times for resting, socializing, traveling, and enjoying life, there will be many times in your career where you'll have to take a second and understand just how ambitious you are. What have you achieved, and what is it that you still want to achieve? You will have to analyze and find out how much you might have to still sacrifice for that next stage in your career. If you're ambitious as a person, you may want higher pay, higher position, more recognition. And if you really want more, you'll probably have to work more or sacrifice more, because ambition without action is just wishes. You will have to look at what you want at any given time, at any given stage, and look at it honestly and figure out how much of the price you've paid, how much you might still owe in effort. The price could be leveling up your skill, experience, networking, attending events, doing well in interviews, job interviews. So you'll have to look at that and decide, yeah, it's worth it for me, I'll do it. And in cases, discern when an opportunity is just not right for you. Make art for you as much as you can. As you make your way through your art career, especially in the early years, you will mostly be making art as a service, be that a small personal commission piece for a private client or as part of a big studio operation with many massive moving parts. In that, you might end up stacking up years of making art that isn't so fulfilling creatively. It's a job after all, and extents of that are normal. That's where personal art comes into play. Private, little or huge projects that you will make in order to just refill your creative energy tank. You might end up working on graphics for a winter sports video game during the day, and making a fun X-Men or Dragon Ball Z fan art at home on the weekends. Many work their way up there and end up lucky, basically, that they get to do work that they might end up doing personally anyways as their professional art. But even when it's not the case, you can very often work your way up towards that. You will have to make time and room for those projects that refuel your spark, your creativity. And in cases, you'll end up producing portfolio pieces of personal art that will get you closer to doing that same thing that you do for your personal art as what you end up doing for a living too. Forcing the habits. So for any result that you really want in life, there will be costs and habits you will have to work on. Do you want better health stats? You'll need the habits of better diet and exercise. You want better art skills? You'll have to practice the habits that will get you better at specific things that you may want to be better at. As an example, when I left full-time studio jobs behind for freelance work, I had a hard time with discipline and productivity. I would wake up late, take too long cooking lunch, take long console gaming breaks, goof off with my cats, ended up making up for it by working up late also. So it was a bit messy. So I ended up renting office space at a game studio in the city where I lived at the time in Vienna. That forced me to kind of get my money's worth by commuting early in the morning to that office, taking the long or short enough lunch breaks and heading back home at reasonable times. That forced enough structure around my freelance work to where I was able to later just be as productive by having a home office. I had built enough habits of productivity to where I was able to do it also from a home office. So by the time the pandemic lockdowns came around, I had already been able to work from home for some time. When lost, return return to source. What I mean by this is that sometimes you'll lose sight of your motivation. You'll be tired, creatively drained. What people often refer to as burnout seems to often happen when people overwork themselves or are just physically exhausted. They often get sick or even depressed. That's often just the body telling us to slow down, to stop overdoing it. Then there are times when you might not be physically exhausted, you're resting enough, diet and exercise are in place, but your creative tank is drained. This happens at times because the kind of work you might be doing, the studio work, the place you are working at, maybe projects are not exactly what you'd like to work on. So many of those things can happen. The way through these situations is that you have to take a moment to see where you're at. Maybe it's time to change studio, pursue a different kind of art style, change from 2D to 3D or from 3D to 2D. One of the things that I find important in situations like that is take a break, either a long or a short break, as long as you're able, I guess, and enjoy those a good dose of what got you into this. Go watch the anime that you really love, replay that video game that made you curious about how games are made. Watch that movie, binge that TV show, consume that comfort food art that brought you into this, or find new art to enjoy. That's what I call returning to source, basically, in this context. Environment curation. So what I mean by this is that you need a good space where you make your art, where you do your work. In an office, this might just mean decorate your desk, cubicle, or office. When interviewing for a studio job, imagine yourself in that place for 8 hours a day. Picture just how much you might enjoy or dislike that over time. When it comes to a home office or studio location that you rent or buy, it's similar, except that you get to decorate and build it even more to your liking. You can build and curate a space that nurtures and encourages the art you want to do. It can be a chaotic and eclectic place where you know where everything is, or neat and minimalist space that clears your mind for getting the work done. Whatever it is, you get to make it how you want it, as many older or young established artists already do. So in closing, pursuing your passion and career in art can be a pretty tough road to walk. You'll find that if you can balance it right, you will have a good mixture of what you want to make and what you can sell. In commercial art, you mostly have two kinds of clients or audiences career will interact with. One is art directors and studios that will hire you to be part of a bigger machine or a great team if that's what you want to be part of. The other one is the average person out there who might enjoy clicking like on your art in any given social media. In that game, you'll have to get enough of those people from clicking like to buying an art book, buying an art print, or any knickknack you might be selling. In some cases, you'll get to do both. You will work for a great company or studio or team. You will work on great big IPs, and you might also get to sell art prints of your original characters to the average Joe or Jane. In my case, I've been lucky enough to do a decent bit of both. I hope to keep doing it as many years ahead as possible, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Yeah, so I hope you found some of that useful or interesting. A lot of this is based, of course, in my own career and my own experience. Yours, of course, may vary, but I think a lot of things are common among a lot of people that have art as a career and as a passion. I don't think there's a big versus or a big distinction between art as a passion versus art as a career. I think they're both kind of things that you have to balance, and you have to kind of ebb and flow between them. And you have to basically nurture your passion for art as you go through your career in it. And you also have to take your career seriously and basically at times just sit down and be disciplined and do the things that are necessary to have a sustainable long career. I'm Sculptor Heck in most socials, so you can find me also on my YouTube channel, and hopefully I'll be uploading more often to there. And yeah, hope to see you here and there next time. So take care. Bye.